Good evening everyone, Ads here from Unity Trading Group. Welcome to the Wednesday update. Before we begin tonight, as always, hit the like button, tap the subscribe button if you can, and of course tick the bell to stay updated on all of our content that we do every single night. Well, we aim to stream 5 nights a week. So thank you all for being here and thank you all for subscribing to the channel. Here we are, BTC, USD, where are we at, where are we going? And it's been a good result from our discussions on Monday this week. This week, we really spoke about the eventuality of moving to the upside, and the area that we're seeing now being tested at 40K was the area that I really looked at for that first sort of target to the upside, should you say, if we're going to see a relief on this time frame, and that's what we're seeing now. So two areas really made up the brunt of what we really thought would happen. We're looking at the 38.2 at 41,323, and of course we coincided that very nicely with a level of supply at the top there. We had Gravy Train at that point as well, and you can see the validity of Gravy Train as it moved to the right hand side. We were getting a flat value across that level of supply at the top there as well. We have pierced through that cloud and we are creating a gray zone now. So the gray area, for those people who do not know or haven't used Gravy Train before, it is an area of indecision. It is an area of reversal. We can have Gravy Train giving us a signal to say we could be reversing here. It could be an area to really look at starting to move up, or it could be an area of indecision in which we move towards the downside. However, in areas or higher time frames like this, where we do get very well or very nicely trending markets, it is more likely that we'll see some form of reversal to the upside with that Gravy Train cloud. So, in saying all this, what do we think will happen, come the remainder of this week? In my opinion, we'll see 50 and 61.8 more than likely be tested. We have broken through this level of supply quite significantly so far. And the first time that we did get rejected off this level, it wasn't for very long. We came and tested the 23 and then moved back up towards the 38.2. So a decent, movement through that level of supply currently. This is really setting the stage for a further movement to the upside. And if you can't see it already, we've got a very, very loose inverse head and shoulders on this time frame forming, and we could see this neckline be broken. It is subtle, but it is there, and we are looking at the 38.2 being the rough neckline for this movement. If we do move to the upside, the general consensus is we'll probably see it at the 61.8, and that resides around 48,350. If we are to see this move up, there is a number of levels that we can look for. Of course, the 61.8, but I'm more referring to a level of supply, and that coincides at that 61 point. In my opinion, we are looking at a very, very small pivot at that point. It is low quality. If we are to see this return to the mean, return to a higher quality level, it would more reside around that 56 to 57K mark for an upside potential. However, it's a little bit too early to really say. So we'll keep that under wraps for now. If we are to see any further downwards movements, we'll be looking at that in the way of, a little bit of price action to the right-hand side. Something like this would be the next area of interest to the downside, as opposed to something around this area here. This area is more so our most important level, but like I said, it's a little bit too early, so I'm just putting it on all of your radars for the minute. But for the immediate term, I think we'll push through this 38.2 and give the 50 and 61 a nice retest for now. Moving on, we'll have a look at Ethereum. Now, ETH is faring a little bit better than BTC, as you can see on the chart here. we've pushed through our level of supply, and we've pushed through the 38.2, which is two good signs, and it could be a little bit of a glimpse at what we could expect from BTC. As you can see on the chart here, we've got a relevant level of supply at that 61 also. In the sense of ETH, we have moved through, like I said, the 38. So the 50 is the next natural level that I'll be looking towards. And of course, if you draw the line across, not too much is happening around this point here. So it might be a weaker zone that we're used to in the way of Fibonacci retracement as far as the 50 goes. So in the sense of some liquidity to the left-hand side, the 61.8 is a little bit more valid in this instance. And that could be a good sign for not only Ethereum, but it could be a good sign for the USD pairs in general. And of course, BTC being at the forefront of that, because we are looking at targets to the upside that are really coinciding with that 61, coinciding with those levels of supply. So all these USD pairs are interlaced, and of course they move together typically. And that's what we're seeing here in the sense of ETH. So with Ethereum, there's a couple of things that we're observing as well as that. We're looking at an upwards trajectory in the sense of our steamroller indicator, and it comes down to our level of RSI being in that or in the green zone, and the green zone is more referring to above the 50. We are trending above the middle line, and that's a good sign for things to come to the upside. Not only this, that very loose inverted head and shoulders is part of this formation also, and you can see where the neckline would be, but I'm just putting it on your radar. Of course, it's a very loose pattern that we're seeing on the chart currently. Next up, XRP is something that we look at very regularly, and it is in the same sort of formation as the other coins that we've been looking at. So let's chart this up and see where we're at. Just drawing in the levels of supply that are more relevant. Of course, the one that I'm drawing in right now is at $1.60 or $1.55, and it is on a significant pivot. So that would be the area of interest for me in the sense of a higher quality level. And you can see immediately that this level here is during the movement down. It is on a pause, although a small pivot on a lower time frame, but it is on a pause. So the $1.20 area is going to be a little bit easier to move through. And topping it off with our fibs. So drawing from left to right, and there you go, we're getting caught on the 38.2. The 50 coincides nicely, and the 61 does, of course, with some of the price action we've got to the left as well. So something to look forward to for XRP also. Last but not least, this evening is the DXY, a little bit of a shorter session tonight. So the DXY is a regulated market, not financial advice at all, just ideas and opinions of us here at UTG based on these regulated markets. The DXY has been doing what we expect it to. I did suggest earlier this week that we'll more than likely start to slip and continue these lower high scenarios down or downwards in the sense of we'll be looking more towards our 89,149 area of interest down here in terms of the demand. But that's coming to fruition. I shouldn't have said but that's coming to fruition as we can see these lower highs being formed on the chart. So if we are to draw a trend line towards the downside, even if we are to use our line chart to really gauge where that downtrend should be, roughly there, you can see how valid that level is, and we are continuing our descent to the downside. However, in this instance, if we are to reach this level, we could get squeezed into a corner and then come up, or typically in the sense of these patterns or these formations that we see, it's a very loose formation, it's not perfect, but we typically see these break down, or if we are to draw in a little bit of a better pattern, you can see that one there, and that's a falling wedge formation. I'm doing this on the fly, as you can see, and this typically breaks to the upside. So that one there looks to me like a better pattern or a better formation that's occurring on the DXY, and we'd be looking at the next possible level of supply or even level of resistance, and that would coincide around that point of, in my opinion, 90.23. Thank you all for joining me tonight, though. It is a little touch shorter than we usually do tonight. If you want to join the conversation, I do encourage you. The links are down below in the description. Again, thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one.